Yeah, missed out on a lot of what's happened, and I guess sort of off the top, we probably should touch on, and this is not Lions related, but it's the passing of Cam McCarthy.
Yeah, very late information this afternoon on that one. That was a bit of a shock, I think, for everyone in the footy world.
Yeah, and look, I'm still not totally up to speed with the full details because I've been pretty rushed for
Yeah,
most of today and this evening. But look, it is really unfortunate, and my oldest son is actually a Freo supporter.
yep,
Not really into footy much anymore. That he's gotten a bit older. He's an adult now, and he doesn't really care. But
yep.
back when he was into footy, and we used to go to Freo games whenever they played in Melbourne, and that was around about the time that Cam McCarthy was sort of in and out of the team, trying to make a name for himself, and they were playing him as a key forward when he clearly wasn't quite big enough to fill that role. But that was Freo back in the days, and yeah, my son used to like him. I sort of never really had an issue with him as a footballer, but we were all aware of
Uh,
his mental health issues. Um,
yeah, well, I didn't know a huge amount about him apart from the controversy about when he moved from the Giants to the Dockers a few years back. But apart from that, I didn't really know too much about him. And obviously, there's no in the articles I read, there's no official explanation, but
yeah,
whatever happened was a very tragic circumstance for someone who's 29 to lose their life is just pretty miserable.
yeah, that's right. And look, I guess when you're battling your demons, it's really hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel and to see a way out.
Yeah,
I think everybody battles some demons at different times in their lives. There's no hiding from that fact. For Cam, he was a really high draft pick. I can't remember his exact selection number, but a lot of expectations were placed on him. He was at he had to move a long way from home to a struggling club at the time.
yep,
Very young, 17 years old, didn't know anybody. Nobody knew him over there.
yeah,
Um, Basically, and I've heard interviews of Toby Green and a few, like Stephen Caniglio and a few of the other guys who were there early on, and they were basically left to fend for themselves. They'll
yeah,
put in houses with like, 3 or 4 17-year-old guys who'd never been away from home before, never been away from their parents, didn't have any life skills, no cooking skills. There was no welfare officer until a couple of years into the program. And yeah, look, life would have been incredibly tough. And, he then went through that situation where he wanted to go back home. And rightly or wrongly, you can have your own opinions on that. He sat out for a year of football
mm,
um, because the Giants wouldn't play ball with the Dockers. And unfortunately, he just never really sort of came back into football the way he would have liked, and retired way too young for a guy with the talent that he was said to have had.
yeah.
And
Well, I'll be honest. I wasn't a huge fan of him doing that, but every man makes their own decisions, and he was a grown man. He made his decision and he stuck with it, and eventually got back home where he wanted to be.
yeah,
Yeah, and then once he was kind of back there, I heard when he kind of fell off and wasn't on an AFL list anymore, but I hadn't really obviously been keeping tabs on him or anyone like that or, around the West or anything like that.
if you are battling demons, if the black dog's knocking on your door, if you feel like life's getting too tough, talk to someone.
Yep, definitely.
Like, and if you know someone who's trying to reach out for help, listen. That is the biggest step that people can take on either side, is to talk and to listen.